if you liked the first, before I answer, if you liked those tweets, well-worded, beautiful, flowing prose, you might like the books written by the authors of those tweets. Tom Curran's Relentless, a Julian Edelman memoir, not a biography, a memoir, because a guy like Edelman has memoir stuff. Or Seth Wickersham's latest release, It's Better to Be Feared, about the New England Patriots. Or Jeff Howe's If These Walls Could Talk, co-written by Scott Zolak, former Patriot, about the Patriots. So if you like those tweets, you could buy any of their Patriot books. Go along with it. Listen, Greg, I'm so glad you're here because you are not burdened by commentary from yesterday the way the people on either side of you are when they box themselves in to a maze of nonsense about the fewest pass attempts in 40 years not being at least a little bit about lack of faith in a quarterback. So here's the question I would have for Greg and for everyone. Be honest. While you were watching that game, your thoughts changed and evolved. Meaning, when you saw the Patriots not throw at all going into the wind in real time, you were like, oh, neither team's going to throw when they're going this direction. Must not be possible. And then you saw Josh Allen throwing into the wind. You're like, oh, well, that's a little weird. And then when you saw them run on 3rd and long and run on 3rd and long and run on 3rd and long, you were like, oh, they're setting them up for the one play action deep shot. It's going to be more set up than ever. We heard it in the broadcast. And then it never came. And then when the game was, the Bills got that touchdown and it was close and the Patriots offense scored one touchdown, you thought, okay, well, with the game in question, especially when the Patriots have the wind with them in the fourth quarter, they'll open it up. And they didn't. Right, Greg? So it has to a little bit be about how much they did or didn't trust their quarterback. Witness. Correct?
So, Nick, all of what you're saying is very credible. Very credible. We all watched the game. We saw what took place. However, it is not indicative on how Belichick feels about Mac Jones. And hear me out, Nick. So was there concern? Yes. But he still had faith that, okay, if I put this quarterback, my rookie, in a position to where we have a game plan and he can execute this game plan, if there's a chance that we absolutely need to throw the ball, then yes, I'll put him in that position. I trust that he can make that throw. But I'm not just going to put him in a situation where, let's go over to Josh Allen, where Josh Allen has his lowest completion percentage of the year, his worst QBR and rating of the year, 15 of 30. Like, he struggled and he has such a big arm. Look, I've been in those games. And as a receiver, even watching those games, yes, I'm like, man, I wish he would throw the ball. But when I was in those games, I recall it being in Chicago, for one, right off the water, the wind is swirling, it's freezing, and all we wanted the coach to do, man, run the ball. We wish we could run the ball as consistently as the New England Patriots in that moment that we saw Monday night. It was so effective. Why even bother throwing the ball? Until you show me you can stop it, then you haven't forced my hand to do anything otherwise. So I don't take it as Mac Jones and Bill Belichick looking at Mac Jones like, well, I don't trust my guy to throw the ball. No, I am concerned about my guy throwing the ball in this weather because I can see what Josh Allen is struggling with, and his arm is stronger. Yep. Like, let's be real. Like, those thoughts definitely went through his head. But when you have a conversation with your quarterback, as they did, as everybody does, in inclement weather like that, you ask him, how comfortable are you? Just like kickers. Where's the line? How comfortable are you? What does it look like? You talk to each and every individual, and then you assess them with their eyes, and then you watch them. And the fact of the matter is, Mac Jones never had to throw the ball in the game. He was never forced to put the team on his back and say, we got to throw the ball in order to win this game. If that were the case, then yes, and this still were the outcome, then yes, Nick, I agree with you 100%. But that was not the case.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg, for pointing out what is obvious to everyone. The point is to win the games. If you want points for activity, then jump on the Peloton. Go mine some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We're about winning games. Like, oh, look at this. I did well. What's my score? I guess I did well. That's for Peloton. That's not for the Patriots. You got the wrong P there.
That's not
Here's the thing.
the question.
It is, Nicholas, and you love Peloton, so I know that one hurt you doubly. Broussard, Mac Jones also threw last week in Tennessee for 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. He hasn't had an interception in 2 weeks. Do you know who those numbers are better than?
You're counting
the
this
following
week?
quarterbacks.
Hold on.
Yes,
You're counting the interception in 2 weeks.
In the past 2 weeks, yes, because in the past 2 weeks, he has 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. You know who that's better than? Tannehill, Burrow, Baker, Lamar, Bridgewater, Matt Ryan, Trevor,
That's great.
Patrick Mahomes.
This is about
Patrick
one
Mahomes
game.
Has 0 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He has 0 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
No, he ran
It is
for
relevant.
one. We all saw it. But
He has
it's not
0
about
touchdowns,
Mahomes,
2 interceptions.
and it's
Mac
not
Jones has
about
2
the
touchdowns,
Titans game.
0 interceptions.
Broussard, get us back. It is about this event. This event, Broussard, was the game plan about from the Monday night game at all indicative of the faith Belichick has in Mac Jones? That's the question, Broussard.
No. He clearly has faith in Mac Jones. He picked Mac Jones over Cam Newton, who he liked. He had Mac Jones throw the ball 40 times against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. He clearly believes in the young man. And Greg hit it on the head. All right, Josh Allen, Nick, you brought it up yesterday all day long. Oh, Josh Allen threw 30 times, so don't tell me you can't throw in the wind. Well, he didn't throw it well. He completed 50% of his passes. That's his worst in almost 2 years. All right, less than 5 yards per attempt. His worst of the season. And a tremendous receiver, one of the best we have in the league, Stephon Diggs, loses a ball that hit him on the arm in the end zone because the wind was moving the ball all over the place. The Patriots don't have a receiver as good as Stephon Diggs. They don't have a quarterback with the arm strength of Josh Allen. So for Belichick to say, man, they've got all pros struggling with this weather, I'm not going to put our guys in that situation. Nick, just admit it.
Thank you.
You're wrong.
Thank you.
Guys.
Everyone agrees.
Guys. I think I'm as frustrated as I've ever been on television. And here's why. We have the hard data. It's the fewest pass attempts thrown in a game in 40 years. Does anyone on the panel think it's the worst weather an NFL game has been played in 40 years? No. Belichick himself said it wasn't as bad as weather they played in against Buffalo in 2008 when Matt Castle was the quarterback, another guy known for his just rocket arm. And in that game, Belichick threw the ball 8 times. And this narrative that and Greg said it, oh, the running game was so effective. No, it wasn't. They scored 1 offensive touchdown. They failed on their final 8 third downs. Josh Allen had 5 throws into the end zone to take the lead in the fourth quarter because of this game plan. This idea that we are acting like, well, they ran the ball because they never had to pass. The game was never in doubt. It was just so effective. No, they weren't. We watched the game. They didn't convert a single third down after 2 minutes into the second quarter. If Josh Allen doesn't trip over his offensive lineman's feet on 2nd and goal from the 6, the Bills probably score. So I give the Patriots credit for finding a way to win. I knelt at the altar of Belichick yesterday, Greg. That all can be true. But everyone acting like it is a coincidence that a quarterback who the biggest knock on him coming into the league, does he have an elite arm talent? No, he doesn't. that in the first game, in really bad conditions, he throws the fewest passes since Namath was playing is insanity. See, Terry Bradshaw was in the league last time that somebody threw this few passes in a game. And we're going to act like it's a coincidence, Greg?
Well, here's the thing. Their run game was effective. When you're Belichick and you're not swayed by what your opponent is doing, you go into a game with a plan already. He was going to lean heavily on his defense. They understood what they were going into when it came to the weather. And so for you to sit here and say, yes, they were in position to win the game, their running game and the game plan did allow them an opportunity to possibly lose the game. But they knew that in order for us to throw the ball, they're going to have to force us, meaning they're going to be up. We are going to need to throw it. They were never, it was never a necessity, Nick. That's my point. It was a necessity for the Buffalo Bills, and they ended up with 10 points because the game plan was, you know what, we're going to run the ball and we're going to play defense. We're going to take the long route. It may look ugly, but we can win this way. He knew that, and he wanted to see if it would work, and it worked to the best we've seen. I don't care. I hated it as an offensive guy, but it was coaching perfection.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.